Welcome to Railfans Canada. I'm Shane Seguin. Joining me today is Bradley Cooper, who's the Senior Engineer for the Stage 2 Eastern Construction with the City of Ottawa. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Right now we're at Jeanne Station, one of the stations in Orleans. Can you talk to us about some of the features, the layout, and the design of the station?
Yeah, for sure. So to access the station, you'll be accessing it off Jeanne d'Arc Road, off the bridge overpass. You can get into the station from the west side of the bridge or the east side. There'll be fare gates on either side. Getting to the station from the community is a big connectivity focus at this station. So we'll have a multi-use pathway on one side of the bridge, sidewalk on the other. There'll be bike parking at this station and 2 OC Transpo stops right out front to drop you off. Coming in the station, you'll come in at the road level, crossing over the highway, and you'll go down some steps to the platform level where you get on the train. Regardless of which side you get into the station at, you can take the train going either direction. The platform is connected on both sides. You just kind of have to be careful when you get off the train which side you exit the road on if you wanted to get back on a bus.
So we've moved down now to the platform level of Jeanne d'Arc Station. We can see the track right next to us. Can you talk a bit more about some of the features of the station?
Yeah, absolutely. So where we are now, we're on the platform. So this is kind of where you will be getting on the train. Up above us, you can kind of see in the background is Jeanne d'Arc Road. So to come down, Jeanne d'Arc Boulevard, to come down from the street level to the platform. There's 2 elevators on either side to get down and up from here. And in the sides of the shots, these are the station noise walls, and those are in place to keep the highway noise away from the platform, so to give it kind of a better experience on the platform level, to not be hearing the cars racing by and that loud noise. You can go east to Trim from here, or west. Montreal would be your next stop going west.
So can you start by talking about the eastern extension? How many stations, how many kilometers, and a little bit of the facts of this extension of the O train?
Yeah, for sure. So the overall extension project has a south extension, a west extension, and an east extension. So right now we're at Jeanne d'Arc Station, which is one of the stations in the east extension. For the east extension, we pick up the existing station at Blair. So the existing stage 1 station at Blair Road, going all the way out to Trim, with 5 stations in between. So we have from Blair, it goes to Montreal, then Jeanne d'Arc, where we are today. Convent Glen is the next station east of us at Orleans Boulevard overpass. There's one at Place d'Orleans, and then Trim Station is the last one. So we have over 12 kilometers of rail, or of linear rail, but it's double track going on either side, so over 24 kilometers of actual rail installed. And the majority of the alignment runs down the center of the highway. So we pick up Blair Station on the north side of the highway from stage 1, travel a little bit along the north side, and then jump over into the center median over that. It's a flyover bridge is what we call it, but it's kind of between Montreal and Blair. It crosses over the westbound lanes into the center median of the highway, where we run for the rest of the alignment.
So the eastern extension being primarily in the median of the Highway 174, what kind of challenges were there in making room for the guideway in the stations, and what kind of things were done to realign the highway to make such a construction project possible?
Yeah, so a significant amount of work obviously needed to be done to get the guideway where it is today. First thing is just making sure the space is available. If you drive down the highway, you can see the hydro lines on either side. That's the stuff that you can see, but underground there's a number of other utilities that also need to be moved in order to make this happen. So our first steps are, shifting the highway south, which we did, creating more space in the guideway for us to build the extension. So over the last number of years, there's been a number of full weekend closures, nighttime closures, to kind of create that extra space here and get the highway still kind of moved in its final alignment. So as you're doing that, there's a number of utilities that need to be relocated. So we have hydro infrastructure, which I kind of mentioned earlier. There's large diameter water mains with sewers that needed to be moved, gas mains, all that stuff kind of in advance of the whole guideway construction. And then, as briefly kind of touched on at the start, getting the train here is also a challenge, right? So the train comes into Blair on the north side of the highway, so there has to be a way to get it into the median, and that's that flyover bridge, which I can't wait till the train's actually on that bridge, because I think it'll look really cool crossing over the highway into the guideway. But another piece of engineering. One challenge which we're kind of dealing with now, but getting towards the end, is the station construction as a whole. It being in the center of the highway poses a number of other challenges, right? How do we get deliveries here? Actually building the station itself. So kind of unique in that way to get these stations built in the center median as well.
The system is electric, runs off of traction power substations located near the stations. How many of them are there in the east? Where are they located, and how does that all connect in?
Okay. So there's 5 traction power substations in the east, one at every station. That power is given from outside the highway, fed through ducts over to the actual guideway itself, where the train will be running. It's a 1500 volt DC system that will be powering the train. So there's a redundancy also with these TPSSs. So if Jeanne d'Arc went down, for instance, it could be fed from either Convent Glen or Montreal station to not lose any service.
The Eastern Extension is a multi-year project. What kind of milestones have you already achieved on this extension, and what are you looking forward to in the coming years?
The big milestone that we achieved just recently, and we can see behind us, all of the track is now installed in the east, 100% complete. That's a huge milestone that the team's been working on for some time now. So that's a big thing we just accomplished this year. Moving forward into next year in early 2024, the plan is to have one of the stage 1 trains coming into the east extension to start our testing and commissioning out here. So that'll be really neat to see that train kind of transition, and its first day of running down the highway will be a really cool milestone in 2024. The station we're standing in today, again, will be finished early 2024 as well, followed by some of the other stations in the east. This station we're in today is our furthest along on the east extension. Some other major milestones is getting up the overhead wire, so we can see some of the poles in the background that are going up now. Early 2024, we'll also have the overhead catenary system, which provides power to the train. So testing will be starting kind of west of this station, and then moving into east of this station after that. Traveling down the 174, you can see the wires installed now. But kind of in 2024, we'll continue along with that. So testing and commissioning is our big milestone next year. Kind of finalizing the highway alignment, where its final position is next year, and then final paving of that highway will be in 2025. So after the train is running, the final highway top lift of the asphalt will be done in 2025. Another big milestone from a connectivity side of things. So there's a number of MUPs that have been built along the alignment. So next year, 2024, we plan to have some of those MUPs start to begin opening with the final asphalt down. So that again is kind of, I know the community's been through a lot over these last few years building this project, but next year we'll start to kind of reap some of those rewards for some of the pain that we felt. And then ultimately, substantial completion. So finishing of the project early in 2025 is the plan.
So being intimately involved with the Eastern Extension, you must have your favorite station. Which one is it, and why?
That's a great question. I have 2 answers, 2 stations, both for very different reasons. From an engineering side of things, Montreal station is a really cool station in how it was built and how it had to be constructed. So that station is the only station on Confed where you actually go up to the platform from the road below, and it's actually built into kind of the bridge structure. So kind of a really unassuming station. As you're going by, you don't really notice it unless you're in it or walking by. You won't see much from the highway. It's kind of hidden. It's kind of hidden into the bridge structure itself. Also, to build that station, the highway had to be moved over. So there's 3 new bridges at that station actually. One for the eastbound, one for the westbound, and one for the guideway. So from that like unique pure engineering kind of side of things, I really like Montreal Station. From where I see like a ton of like practicality and a lot of people that are going to be using it is trim. Over 1,000 park and ride parking spots at that station. It's kind of big and nice looking, and you know it's going to take people from south of Orleans, people from east of Trim, all the ability to drive into the city, park at that park and ride, and then be able to get into downtown. So kind of like, you know, we have public art that's going to be there as well. So from that, like purely like, wow, this is a nice looking station with the pedestrian bridge kind of crossing the highway. I think for that it'll be trim and practicality having the park and rides up there.
So Bradley Cooper, thank you very much for your time today and speaking to us about the O-Train Eastern Extension Stage 2. Thank you again for your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.